You know that story you tell yourself about your biggest heartbreak? The one you've replayed in your head 1,000 times? Well, what if it's not actually true? Black Mirror's incredible episode, Eulogist, isn't about killer robots or spooky digital ghosts. Nope. It's about something way scarier and much, much closer to home. The fact that our own memories can't always be trusted. Seriously, think about it for a second. In the story of your worst breakup, who are you? Are you the victim? The tragic hero who was wronged? Eulogy really gets under your skin because it asks this one deeply unsettling question. What if your memory isn't preserving the truth, but is actually just protecting your ego? All right, so first up, let's talk about what makes Eulogy feel so different. For a show that's famous for its dark, tech-gone-wrong horror stories, this episode is, well, it's surprisingly quiet. It's an intimate look at just one person's life. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Even the star of the episode, the amazing Paul Giamatti, said the same thing. He was constantly waiting for that classic brutal Black Mirror twist to drop. But in this story, the horror isn't some crazy new technology. It's the purely human horror of regret and the lies we tell ourselves. The piece of tech at the heart of the story is called the Eulogy system. It gives a lonely man named Philip a chance to contribute to the funeral of his long-lost love, Carol. The idea is actually pretty simple on the surface. Imagine you could literally step right inside an old photograph and relive that exact moment. But of course, it's never that easy, is it? As soon as Philip tries to step into his past, he slams right into a wall. I mean, how are you supposed to find happy memories of a time you spent decades trying to forget? Okay, so check this out. On one hand, his mission is simple. Find some nice memories of Carol to share at her funeral. But here's the huge problem. After they broke up, in this fit of rage and bitterness, he destroyed every single photo he had of her. I mean, he literally burned her face out of them, scribbled over her with a pen. He is so trapped inside his own story of being the heartbroken victim that he can't even remember what she looked like. Luckily for him, he's not going on this journey alone. He has an AI persona called The Guide, played so well by Patsy Ferran. And she's basically his digital therapist. She's there to gently question his version of events, kind of nudging him and pointing out all the little details he's conveniently forgotten over the years. But, this is Black Mirror. So as you were probably guessing, the guide isn't just some off-the-shelf AI program. Oh no, there is way more to her than meets the eye. As you watch, there are these little clues dropped all over the place. But Philip is so wrapped up in his own pain that he is completely oblivious. When the guide casually mentions that Carol taught her daughter to play the cello, it just flies right over his head. When he insults her programming and she says she was generated, not coded, he just snaps back at her. He literally cannot see past his own anger. And here's where the twist gets really poignant. I think a lot of us watching probably had that moment where we thought, aha, the guide must be his long-lost daughter. But the truly heartbreaking part of this story is she's not. The truth is, the guide is a digital avatar of Carol's actual daughter, a woman named Kelly. She's using the tech as a way to understand her mom's past and to finally meet the man who broke her heart, but without having to carry the full emotional weight of that conversation herself. It's brilliant. Now, this twist does so much more than just move the plot forward. It unlocks the episode's biggest theme, and it's something that applies to all of us. The fact that we are all, to some extent, unreliable narrators of our own lives. So through the guide, Kelly finally lays out the real story that Philip has spent decades burying. See, he remembered this grand proposal where Carol just rejected him out of nowhere. The reality, he had cheated on her, and she had just found out she was pregnant after a one-night stand. And even then, she left him a little note using his nickname Philly, offering him a second chance. But in a drunken, self-pitying rage, he completely destroyed their hotel room, and he never even saw the note. And a fan on Reddit just summed it up perfectly. They said, if you tell yourself the same story enough times, it becomes true. For you. We all do it. We build these stories to protect ourselves, and after a while, those stories can start to feel even more real than the truth. This realization just completely flips our entire understanding of Philip. He was never the romantic hero of some sad love story. He was a cautionary tale. His own selfishness, his own ego cost him everything. And he spent the next 40 years blaming the world for a tragedy that he created. So what is it that makes Eulogy such a standout episode in the whole Black Mirror series? Well, it's all about how it uses this sci-fi idea to explore something that is just so deeply, deeply human. You know, in so many Black Mirror stories, the technology is the monster, right? It's the thing that ruins everything. But not here. Here, the technology is just a mirror. The eulogy system doesn't cause the pain, it just forces a man to finally, after all these years, look at his own reflection and take responsibility for the past he tried so hard to rewrite. And it's that human focus that's led to it being called one of the best episodes of the entire series. It's a totally standalone story, which is wherever the show. It cares way more about emotional depth than it does about some big dystopian spectacle. And it all builds to this devastatingly beautiful final scene where Philip finally gets a form of closure that is just painful, but absolutely perfect. And that's really the question it leaves you with, isn't it? If you had this technology, if you could step back into your own memories, what would you find? Would you actually find the uncomfortable, messy truth? Or would you just find more proof for the story you've always needed to believe?